Why, hello there. Welcome, everyone, boys, girls, and robots of all ages, to ProBots, the sixth day, round of 8 of 2024, season 2. Thought I was going to forget. I did not. I'm your host, Drekken, and we have a action-packed game for you today. We've moved off of the groups, and now we are on the brackets. Dun, 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 dun. And to see those brackets through, I got my crew of casters. Production? Oh my god, it worked. Magic. So with me, I have, of course, the esteemed Endersword, Papa ProBots, and Banyoshi's back. We're able to like wrestle him from the bowels of the esports. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Excited to be here. These look like some good games. It's another week where like I recognize so many names, and I don't know that many, so that means so much.
See, when you recognize the names, that's when you know it's going to be a good week, because these are the names that everyone has come to. These are household names, right? They're like, Messi or Ronaldo, right?
Kleenex, Coca-Cola.
What was the first one? You say Messi?
Messi?
Messi. It's not an A. M-E.
Messi?
M-E. Messi.
We're talking about the football player, right?
Messi.
Yeah, the football player.
I just confirm. I don't play sports. I just want to point out I have zero sports things, but his name. See, if I know his name, he must be.
I guess we were questioning whether you knew his name.
Yeah. Ronaldo, you got though. Ronaldo's spot on.
All right. So one out of two. So like, we're at the World Cup of ProBots. We're getting up there. There are only 3 days left, with the finals on the 31st of August, the next Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We are at the finals, and then Thursday we're at the semifinals. But before we do that, let's walk you through to how we got here. Let's see this format. Boxes.
Got here, with 2 rectangles. We started with the leftmost rectangle, which was the group stage rectangle. In that rectangle, there were 4 groups that were put in their own rectangles that contained a bracket. They played at a double elimination format to get out of the rectangle. 2 were ejected from the rectangle into a scrap pile, and 2 advanced from that rectangle into a second, much superior rectangle. That rectangle then contains a bracket format, starting with a best of 3 quarterfinals, a semifinals, which will be best of 5, and then culminating at the very end, the pot of gold at the end of the metaphorical rectangle, with a best of 7 finals.
Rectangleicious. I love it. I absolutely could not have had a better explanation than that. That is our format, and then there's also our exhibition that occurs on the grand finals, which is not a rectangle, but it is sadly it isn't. Maybe a hectatedragon or some other shape that would work best.
Tetrahedron,
tetrahedron,
something.
All right. I forgive you for Massey.
Yeah. For Lion Massey.
But either which way, we will, and then you guys get a chance to play the bots. If we've already had the human versus ProBots submissions, so we got a few in, and then next week, keep an eye on, if you're watching the community post here on YouTube, you'll see that we'll announce that you can get a chance to play it. And then if you're seeing it later, I'll probably put it pinned on the description too as well. Play the bots, get your chance, get your replays in, and we will go through some of the best replays to show you who, once again, whether or not we will be able to take humanity down. And I think actually, because of what Ketrock said, there might be an opportunity. Yes, he didn't make it to the final 8, but we're going to actually, because someone else didn't submit their bot, Ketrock is going to come in to the human versus ProBots. So he said he's an anti-human strategy.
It makes sense.
I want to go against Ketrock. Last time I played, I only had time for 1 game. I did it against Sharkbot, which was kind of silly because then they just pro brushed me. I was like, well, this is not like the greatest replay of, it was over pretty quickly. So I want to go against Ketrock's Raven shenanery.
I think Ketrock and Eris are some of the they're the ones to watch. I think Eris for sure. Like Eris has beaten Grandmasters before,
Truly the Massey of bots versus humans.
Exactly.
Yeah, truly the Massey, absolutely the
That's ultimately that's what it is.
truly the Massey of bots is Eris, hands down. And then if that was, who would be the Ronaldo? Who knows? Let's look at the brackets and find out.
Let's do indeed that.
There we are.
See what happens. Yeah, so basically
Some
we are
nice
checking things
rectangles
out.
looking.
It is. It's rectangles leading to other rectangles with question marks in a square, a la Mario Brothers. So if you make it through your rectangle, you get to hit one of the question mark blocks and see what's in there. But we start with tier T versus Eris, which will be a TVZ. Two multi-time champion bots there right off the bat. Eris kind of got knocked down unexpectedly in the group stage. So actually is coming through as like a 2 seed, probably for like the first time ever.
And was that 2 Benbot?
Was
that Eris?
it?
12 pool,
Yeah,
12
no,
pool
wasn't
bots.
it? Yeah, it was
Oh,
12
12
pool
pool.
bot.
Okay, it was the same
Surprise,
day.
yeah.
Okay, they played the same day. Okay.
Styled on
12
him.
pool bot, kind of crazy. Okay.
Then we get Sharkbot up against Benbot BC, a nice Protoss versus Terran there. Sharkbot tends to be very cheesy, Benbot very patient, except for a bunker rush contain at the beginning. Then we'll get the Xeno versus Micro Machine. Xena is the one that we were saying somehow turned into Benbot overnight, which is kind of amazing.
Cut off his face and wore
Yeah.
his skin kind of thing.
And then we get a 12 pool bot versus Zealot rushing bot. That could be interesting.
I think that'll be really fun. Yeah.
I mean, I want to just say how much I miss tier P. It's been so long since tier has been a P, and I'm missing it. We don't have enough Protosses. If Sharkbot goes out, I believe that is the only Protoss. And this is just mirroring real life in the round of 8.
We have Zozo and Xena's random, right?
Oh my god!
Yeah,
So,
Xena's
you know what? There's an
Xena
option.
will give us every once in a while. Will give us some good Protoss games. But
1
you're
out of
right.
3.
There's way too much Terran and there's a little too much Zerg. I would prefer all Protoss. All the time.
I too agree with that. Like that is clearly the most preferred method of, especially of tournaments. I actually can't remember the last time a Protoss won ProBots. So kind of like real life GSL.
It might be -0 doing it with
Oh
the
my
adepts.
god! Yes.
Oh, with
that was
adepts?
probably-
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen almost any adept play.
Yeah.
Even with the Protoss that we do have,
Man, I wish you got to see -0. Oh man, -0 was something to behold. His play, his harassment with his use of adepts and his disruptor like coding. Like I did an interview with him about his coding and disruptors.
Disruptor's another really weird unit that
yeah,
we just don't see used.
Yeah, it's a hard one to control. Like
very hard.
Yeah, just
Adepts
everything
seem like
about
that as well. You know, like the shade would just be such a weird. Yeah. Very specific.
-0. I would say -0 figured it out. He solved both adepts and he solved disruptors, and I think those were 2 very hard. And we haven't really seen that replicated in a while. I would say, I'm trying to think who would have like the closest. Maybe Sharkbot, but I've never seen him use he uses Colossus really well.
Use Colossus. He's kind of one of the first ones to crack oracles a bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oracle's an interesting.
Yeah. Sharkbot's he knows how to do oracles, and so. But I've not seen disruptors from Sharkbot. I've not seen shades. Like I've not seen shades.
I haven't seen any
adepts. Long time.
I saw there was one Protoss bot that was getting like one of everything that got like a disruptor, but. Yeah,
I think that Sharkbot gets like one. Sharkbot is like
late game Sharkbot. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know, the Drake of ProBots. He's just gonna do everything. Every little.
That's taken on a different connotation.
You know what?
Yeah.
Host Kendrick. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Enough with my bad.
Not like us.
So absolutely, but before we even get started into digging into the bots, I see you, I know you there who hasn't hit subscribed, hit that button and that like button, might as well, because it doesn't cost you anything. But it helps out a ton because then it helps the algorithms, and then people see ProBots in their like feed, and they're like, "What is this? I've never seen this. This looks cool. I'll watch," and then we're all happy. So hit those two things, and if you want to go even further, throw a little exclamation mark join in the chat. I think that works still, and then you can become a member. You become a member, and you can join me on Mondays. We do group programming on Mondays, and then at the end of the month, we do postbots where we get together. That's like a demo day for bot makers, and the whole goal is to help everybody improve their bot making. So if you want to take it a little bit more serious, you know, if you don't want, after I talk about this template, do that, become a member, and then everything's cool and Gucci. But if you haven't started yet, we have in the description a bot template to get you started. Absolutely, super easy peasy. And yeah, I think that's all our house cleaning. That's I think it's time for a really good show. I'm going to give it away to the casters to analyze our first match.
Indeed.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I don't know. Always with the corporate fast talk and the promotion.
Trying to
and
sell.
Yeah. Ridiculous. But yeah, we are going to kick things into our first matchup, which is going to be Tier T versus Eris. Like we said, multiple time champions here. Tier 1 back in 2023, what we called our side-loaded tournament, which was a slightly different format. And it has, the author has won in the past as well. It's a team now, but the individual author, Simon, has won with the Protoss bot multiple times as well. And here's Drekken's rectangle. But, yeah, the tier bot, I think, the tier T bot, I think, has appeared 7 times, but tier in general has basically appeared since the very beginning of the tournament. Yeah, tier can play various strategies, has a lot of strategies coded in, and picks whatever wins against specific opponents. So he's got a lot of builds programmed in that basically are just designed for a single bot to play against.
Oh, all right, that's a lot. But more generic macro builds do fairly well against most cheeses, but may have a few that they will fail to. So yeah, I mean, it seems like it's going to be very like matchup basically dependent. Eris with Zerg, I'm trying to remember. They weren't like super aggressive, were they? I feel like they were kind of late gamey.
Tended to be like greedy pretty early, like 3 base like very quickly, and then kind of build into the mid and late game. So yeah, not usually like a rush sort of bot or anything like that. And usually lightly defended early, but so Tier may try and take advantage of that. Tier has its own build system and task management for assigning tasks to units. And basically, yeah, has a server to run test games. I assume this number is even probably higher by now, but they've done plenty of test games. And yeah, Tier again will do things specifically for opponents. And yeah, over 100,000 lines of source code and 176 builds. 53 are for this Terran bot. So it is all 3. But this is the one that it's there. And yeah, it is 6 years old, apparently.
Which
a little more now.
Eris is also a pretty old one, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, maybe not quite that. I don't know when Eris started, but and this again is the author has multiple bots as well, which we saw Phobos last season. This one, yeah, reactive above question sucks just because a bot, yeah. So basically, it's a reactive bot. So this is our debate on what's machine learning and hard-coded.
Hard-coded, yeah.
So it's not hard-coded as in it's going to follow a build order to completion, but it's going to react to what it's seeing and picking up, but it's not machine learning based. Long-term cost efficiency, this is definitely the case that tries to take an economic lead and then tries to trade really well over the long run. And again, generic solutions, but not hard-coded to allow reactive play in various scenarios. It's really good at responding to and knowing when it's going to be attacked and then finding ways to stall out that attack.
Which is awesome if you're going to play greedy, greedy style early. But yeah, like you said earlier, like this does seem like a match that like shouldn't be happening quite at this time. Eris going down in the pools and coming out as that second seed in the pool rather than the first seed. gives them like a slightly harder matchup. And so this could be, really unfortunate for tier T, who should have like kind of the easier seed, to play in the quarterfinals. I think it's going to be a much harder, bracket match than I guess what tier T was expecting, or like, would usually have. I think this is going to be a grand finals, semifinals looking match, which should be very exciting.
I think it'll be pretty good, and I think we are ready to hop into it now. Let's see what comes. I predict maybe we're going to see some ghosts.
Tier. Eris.
So we often put a poll up in chat, which we did now. Sometimes we ask the question, who do you want to win? This one we ask, who will win match one, the tier versus Eris. So far, 9 votes in. All of them say Eris. I'm not sure. That's obviously what I voted to, because 100%
I
of them
just
did.
voted Eris.
But I don't feel it's going to be closer than that, and I don't know how confident I am. If you asked my opinion, I'm putting it somewhere in like the 60-40 range. But so far, we got 10 out of 10 voting for they're both multiple time champions, so that's hard. But voting on the Eris side, I guess technically, again, author tier has won 3 times, I think, but 2 of them were the Protoss one. Eris has won 3 times with this bot.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to give tier T too much credit for the tier P wins,
Yeah.
Because it's just such a different game when you're playing different races. Eris went with a pool first, still expanded, but a pool first into a super fast Roach Warren, and with the classic, if you're gonna go Roaches as a bot, you got to get Burrow. So we're gonna have really annoying Burrow Roaches coming in pretty quickly.
This feels more aggressive to actually have tacked up this much prior to taking a third base. Usually Eris is quite known for being greedy economically, and so this is quite a departure. So maybe counter programming against tier, not wanting to go to a late game against tier, where we have seen in the past things like ghosts, things like Thors that can really mess with what your overall strategy is going to be. So we're getting the Roaches approaching.
Well, especially if Eris is already having problems with cost efficiency, I feel like ghosts are just like the most, the most inefficient if you're fighting against them, unit that you can fight, where they can just snipe off a unit, turn invisible, get out of there, and it can start looking really bad, especially if you start getting into those bigger units yourself and they start getting sniped off. So tier responding pretty well immediately, has all the Marines down, and Eris is going to burrow too quickly. I'm surprised that tier is so confident with the workers. The workers were pulled immediately, but now they're back to mining and don't really mind the Roaches all that much.
I think it's working out really well too, that because the SCVs are attacking, that Roaches aren't targeting down the Marines at all. They're like focusing on the SCV right in front of their face, and they're not even really getting shots off. They're just so initial tiny bit of damage. It's not a loss. I think in the long run, like the Burrow really plays well. So it's, he's cut some of the economy to get here quicker. But yeah, you can see where the workers are at, as our observer points out, up 17 workers.
Well, and just the lack of commitment from Eris. The fact that it's 3 Roaches, you have to get a Roach Warren, you have to get Burrow. That's so much investment that as a human, this seems like insane, But yeah, 3 Roaches does it is scary, and it does elicit a response and kind of slows tier down. Now the problem is, as soon as that first scan comes out, those Roaches have no hope. So those 3 Roaches are cleared. 12 army supply in total from Eris, and I think that's probably mostly queens. I don't think there are many
I would think
lings,
that's the case. Yeah.
roaches, or anything out right now.
So you should be
Production
able
is
to
more
see this come.
drones.
Yeah, he's still making more drones, even though he sees this coming across with overlords.
First
So
roach
this
is
is-
here, but
Yeah,
I think
getting
this
a bit
kill's
of
gonna.
concerning.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
push I think is probably gonna just kill if Tier actually pushes in with it. Because 2 tanks, I just don't see 4
Yeah,
queens stopping
you'd
this.
think so, but yeah, they're kind of in the back here. You notice they're actually going after the SCVs, not the tanks. So they took out a couple of the repairing ones there. Queens in front. The Marines in front are actually really confused right now.
Yeah,
'Cause
they're
not
at least
sure where to be.
they're at least keeping high ground, which I feel like
Yeah.
honestly, if nothing else, just do that. But yeah, they're not trading as efficiently as it could. I don't love the full unsiege.
To move
I
an
think
inch
this is just gonna be
forward.
yeah. And like
Good.
with another tank coming, like just push that tank forward.
I think a clutch scan here because those roaches would have otherwise burrowed as they were coming in, and now they may not get a chance to. There's a couple actually burrowed behind him there, but he made 12 at once. If 12 came and 12 burrowed, that would really shut him down. But I think he's may have trouble making progress once these Marines die. Because the queens can just, queens and roaches get directly on the tank, and they are moving directly on so that they're out of fire.
Yeah, luckily the tanks are on high ground, so they get a few more shots off. But it is not the killing blow that I thought it very well should have been. And because it's not the killing blow, well, man, if those other 2 tanks were over here, I don't know what first gave Tyr the idea that Eris has this base down here, or if that's what originally pulled him off it. But those forces being disjointed really is rough, especially because of how greedy Eris was early on. Now that Eris is still alive and not going to die from this, I feel like the situation is going to go really heavily in Eris's favor very soon if Tyr can't get some significant damage done.
Yeah, he's still got a really big economic lead, 4 bases to 2 worker leads, and now almost triple the army supply, really, especially as he cleans that up.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah,
one more
it's-
push right outside of the natural, but it just looks like it's all the gas is out of this push, and it's starting to fall pretty flat.
He's starting to go pick off the reinforcements in the middle of the map there too, as the queens and now roaches get on top of this, and they kind of collapse on the position. I think when he had at the top of the ramp there, like, 15 Marines or something, they weren't going forward. They were just kind of like running
Yeah.
around. I think had they been able to just push forward, really jump on the 3, there were 3 queens that were getting a lot of spread out damage, and they weren't really moving into them. And I think had he taken those out, then it closes the window a bit.
Yeah, I think if he takes those out, I think if that first tank, if the 2 tanks don't unsiege, and the first tank that got super derailed and started going to like the 6 o'clock position, if that tank just pushed up almost where those Marines were, dash dancing.
We don't see that a lot. The
Contaminate on
the
upgrades.
contaminant. Yeah. I like it. You might as well do it. You've got the actions. There's no limit
Yeah.
on things like that.
I also wouldn't mind it on like a tech lab add-on, like on the factor of the tech lab, where on Benbot BC on some like starports, that'd be phenomenal. But yeah, I feel like there were a lot of ways basically that the push from Tyr could have gone that would have made it a kill move, because I think it was looking so good. But yeah, how it turned out with the Marines dancing weird, exactly where they were sieging and when they were unsieging, I don't think was very clean. And then obviously half the army never actually getting to the main army and grouping up and becoming that unstoppable force just really, really hurts. And now we're at what, 5 base to 1 base, 6 base to 3 base.
It's getting out of control here. I guess, making the 6th at the moment. Tyr is putting down a 3rd, but it's going to be really hard to turn on this. One thing that isn't, because everything came down the middle, the creep is not completely across the map, and very often it would be at this point for Eris, but
Crazy unlucky on siege.
Yeah.
I'll just say the only way I could see this maybe going well is if Eris just like tries to go up that natural ramp forever. But right before Eris gets there, Tyr comes down the ramp to greet them on the low ground, and
to so much stuff here. And he's even got like the burrow movement now to pull back anything injured from the roaches, and he's just kind of breaking through the front door.
Yeah, that unsiege was so unfortunate. I thought, I mean, it obviously was not looking good anyway, but eventually splash damage really starts coming through on the Roach Hydra kind of army. And so if you had 5 tanks shelling away and it was a little bit harder to get up there, there's just a slightly better chance than meeting them down the hill. And yeah, it'll take some time, but Eris will clean this up. We'll take map 1.
Even you can see kind of the future transitions as mutants come out there as well, and you've even got vipers and infestors out on the map. So Eris just never stops advancing in the tech tree.
Always assume it's going to go on and get more complicated.
So here's the early push, and there's kind of nothing here at the time. Queen's coming in the back to help, but this swarm of Marines, they're not even firing.
Yeah, and like the tank is never, the other tank never sieged, the third tank. And then the fourth tank never even like was in the same screen as the first 2 tanks, which is just such an unfortunate disjoint, yeah. Because I mean, it just looks so bad. Having like 2 tanks and like 20 Marines or something against just Queen.
Yeah.
When you like teched up, and I mean, Eris expanded, but like the drones were so late, and yeah, it was just going to be, it looked like an easy win.
Yeah, it was really interesting decisions too. Like Eris could see, had vision of that army moving across the map, and was still making additional
yeah,
drones,
like 6 more drones. Yeah.
as it was coming across. Eventually did make a round of 12 roaches, but I don't know what the delay was there. It's usually like good at seeing dangers coming right away and responding. But by the time, and even when they first came out, the first ones just kind of happened to come out at a time that Tyr was scanning the high ground. So 5 or 6 of them came out and instantly died because they couldn't burrow and just got caught in tank fire. But then the next wave came out, got on top of them, and that was enough.
Yeah. And with those kind of pushes, you really like, the timing is on the attacker. You know, you're the one that kind of has to like make stuff happen if you're going to be across there with your workers, with everything you have. So yeah, TRT just not getting the job done with the attack, not aggressive enough, not positionally advantaged enough, whatever it may be. But Eris takes the first one in a defensive fashion. We'll see if map 2 looks anything similar.
Go.
Tyr. Eris.
All right, looks pretty similar to game 1. Eris got the expand, but hacking crazy fast into a Roach Warren. Probably will see Burrow come up as the gas gets a little bit high.
Yeah, it's an interesting departure, and I wonder if it is just for this matchup, knowing that Tyr may be going for an early push, early aggression, and then thinking, well, this is going to, maybe keep him at his base a tiny bit longer, get some damage done possibly, although Tyr handled it really well. But at the very least, lost a couple workers, had to blow a scan to clean it up for the investment of 3 roaches, and you were going to get this burrow and stuff for later anyway. It's just more of an upfront investment. But even at the tail end of it, Eris was already way ahead in the economy. So it's not like, because it's such a small commitment in terms of the larva, he's not really slowing down the economy much at all. He was still putting down a 3rd base relatively quick, going up to a 4th relatively quick.
Yeah, because it was never meant to like be the ending blow. Eris doesn't like overcommit to it. Eris immediately stops committing after the 3 roaches and the burrow is done. Then it's all eco play, which I do love. Yeah, like the strategy and especially when it's bots versus bots, trying to be able to trick the opponent bot to like stay home and that they're under attack and they don't have an advantageous position to go over and attack you, I feel like is super smart. I would love to see in like kind of future iterations if the roaches were spread out enough to not
Yeah.
be in the same scan. I feel like them being burrowed at home would keep that army, Tyr's army at home almost indefinitely. Like I feel like bots would just never feel comfortable leaving roaches that they know are there at their home.
I feel they're a little quick to burrow too, and I get later in the game you want them at that level to burrow because they've taken a tank shot or something. But this early, they could have taken out another probably 2-3 of these Marines if they were kind of a little more tenacious. They're getting a little better this time. I think just in the positioning, it's a little more spread out. These Marines are further down, so when that one on the ramp unsieges again, it's going to be a little more annoying.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely could be a little more stand their ground a little harder. But it does make sense once the DPS really gets up in the mid-late game. You don't want to accidentally lose roaches because you're trying to be too,
Good scan there. One of them is out of that, just inside the range. Okay, I
Oh.
thought he was going to get missed.
I thought it was too. And it looked
Yeah.
like he was trying to. It looked like that roach was trying to get as far away from the others as possible while still burrowing whenever it took a little damage.
Yeah, so it got a few more there. Sorry, can you pop that up back again? Because I think that was a better result in terms of, so an extra Marine basically was the result there. Whereas before it was 2 and 1. So moving out again. This one is going more in the direction of an already established third base, which may end up being a better place to siege up. And he's not going to get like surrounded like he did last time.
It was like the 3 queens from the third were attacking just the tanks, where the other 2 queens were attacking just the Marines. And this does look like a better place. But these Marines are just not
they're not doing
what they need to
anything.
do.
I thought it was a ramp problem, and I guess it's not a ramp problem. They're just not doing what they're supposed to do here. But the queens go down, I think, a lot quicker because the tanks are a lot more aggressive here. We got roaches coming, but it's not the wave of 12 that we saw last time. And once again, he was continuing to make drones for like a while in this. The scan here may be able to pick up drones, but he'll re-burrow.
I really want these tanks to siege again because I don't like that they're on siege right now. But I feel like another huge thing, which I'm glad that this other tank came in, that I was going to mention is being able to start at the third. It's going to be so much easier to keep the army together.
Yeah, it's the key. Now he's taking a lot of scans to try and clean up this stuff. So again, you're falling on the economy when you do that, but you're putting a lot more pressure here because all these drones are burrowed. They're not bringing in the minerals that you need to then defend this. So roaches taking out one of the tanks. There's still a Marine buffer here though, and last time that was gone at this point. There wasn't anything in front of this.
The sieging and unsieging. It looks like this should be good, which I am hesitant because I thought that last match as well for Tyr. But if anything is going to do it, it's going to be these unsieges at just like the worst times. Awesome. Splash got the
because I think there's still some of the Marine here. I think that helps in like he's not able to just jump directly on the tank because there's still the other units. He's burrowed underneath this. If he gets the base, then this is huge. Because even if Eris is able to hold it at this point, he's still got a worker lead. One very injured tank. The broodlings actually may help here a lot.
The one roach just pick off that tank. But Tyr now has a third tank with the push. They are getting a little bit separate, and I'm a little bit worried for this tank. Honestly,
he's going to get the base here on the third as well, and when that goes down, now it really is trouble to come back economically.
Whenever the scans come down and the workers all have to unburrow, if they actually attacked the tanks with all these roaches, every time they unburrow, I think that's going to happen for a second, and I think Tyr's going to get like wiped out. Because it's like a full surround, like multiple times over. But it looks like, especially with the Raven and with Eris, unfortunately, trying to take the base again, like not having a good read on, the how dire the situation is.
He's trying to get the burrow movement here as well. But I think with the SCVs repairing at least this one tank, the small sniping to bring it down won't, because that's how you got the first couple. Is they were
Yeah.
just eventually killed. Now they're going to be at full health pretty much the whole time.
And it is like when there's only 1 or 2 tank siege, and they do have 1 or 2 tanks unsieged, just dealing very reasonable DPS, single unit DPS. I think it's a lot harder also to like kind of try to make the jump on the tank type moves when you just have a strong, middle ground, kind of putting out DPS around the tank as well.
And it's not in his nature, I guess, to go for it, but it feels like instead of making this many roaches throughout, a little bit of a ling flood would have cleaned this.
Oh yeah, Lings
A
would.
lot more.
Well, they almost would have done what the workers could have done.
Yeah.
Just having something to kind of tank and also hold things still while your roaches can kind of get on them makes like a really big difference. But yeah, Tier will take it in a game that I thought this is what game 1 was going to look like.
Yeah,
pretty
for
much.
sure.
And I think it almost quote unquote should have looked like this. When you have a push where the Zerg has only been making queens, they have no lings, they have no roaches by the time you're moving out, and you have 2 tanks and 15 marines. I think the Zerg should lose most of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm glad that Tier was able to, make this push a little bit cleaner, keep things together. There are still a few, mechanical things that I don't love. The way that they, do their tank stuff, or that the Marines kind of being afraid to actually move into the queens is a little bit rough, but
Yeah, that's a little weird. I think had you just moved that, I think it's even much more dominant.
yeah, 1000%.
'Cause, yeah, they're just not even really firing at all.
They're getting
Yeah.
in range to get hit and then like running away so that they can't hit the queen, and then just repeating that over and over.
Exactly. And I think the roaches on Eris's side are a little too individualistic. That
Yeah,
they're kind of, if they were able to wait and pop up together, but I think they're just each popping back up when they hit the green again, and then getting just whack-a-mole back down. But especially
Yeah.
on the offensive side, when there was the 3 of them out there, they're coming up one at a time and basically instantly being pushed into the ground again. And if they coordinated that, then I think you could get some more done, or at least delay this attack a lot more.
Yeah, well, the DPS would be so much slower, so then they wouldn't feel like they had to burrow again so much quick. There's so many benefits to doing it all at once and not one at a time.
So let's see on Gresvin here if we got anything different.
Tier. Eris.
So I think already we're going to get a change from Eris here, going for the third base first, not taking any gas. It's kind of interesting when a bot loses, it will very often change its strategy, saying, "Well, that didn't work, so let's shift." Tyr didn't do that in the first. It lost the first game, and then he did basically the same thing again, and then it
Yeah.
worked the second time. So a good call there. But Eris having that little roach mini rush basically will go back to what we've seen more traditionally, the very economic opening, and not rushing into that. Still, we'll probably get burrow later on, but we're going to get lings instead, and a more of an economic open.
Yeah. I don't know. Good calls are such a funny, because it obviously worked, but it was like, all right, you're gonna do the same thing. They did the same thing. You just won that,
Yeah.
It was an interesting call for sure. But yeah, Ares definitely going a very different approach, going base heavy. So I'm very interested to see if Tyr will go for pretty much the same thing, and it'll be just a little bit quicker without the roach harass early on, and if Ares will switch out of the greed faster once scouting the move out. because yeah, I know, like what you were saying before with the when Eris scouted the move out and they weren't really building, you know, army supply to like deal with it. Maybe there's something with like if they start too aggressively, then like they feel like they need to eco really hard for a certain amount of time, or there's like a certain amount of greed that they want to get out, kind of, and so possibly starting with the greed and then trying to play more reactive and
Yeah.
pump up the army supply when needed could work out well as long as they, Eris is able to keep tabs on tier and keep track of the move out, because it does look like this could be another, pretty fast move out. I'm curious why combat shields before stim, but
I guess it's more, well, since apparently
Tanky?
the Marines don't shoot anyway.
they're mostly shield anyway.
Yeah. So it's all up to the tank, and the Marines are just going to dance there for a bit. But yeah, I think that's their calculation is probably that it's durability that we want instead of the firepower,
Yeah.
and also the fact that you're going to stim and you're not going to have medevacs.
I would say the fact that it's not medevac
Yeah,
makes a lot
I
of
think
sense
makes
too.
it just much more vulnerable when you know you're going up probably against lings. So yeah, kind of makes some sense.
All right, and usually tier would pull the trigger at 2 tanks is usually kind of the move out timing that they're looking for. So we'll see if this is like the last couple games,
Yeah.
and those workers are immediately on the tank, and we're going.
It's here, but immediately 14 lings are under production on Eris's side. A bunch is finished, and you can see that ticking up unit count starting, even making some more. On top of that, we're going up to the Roach Warren here now, but basically, yeah, there's going to be at least a decent initial ling flood backed up by some queens.
And I love the lings. Oh, maybe they're just still scouting. I thought some of the lings on the top side of the map were just going to go for a counter hit.
They'll often do that, the run by. Okay, on creep now. That's another big difference between this opening and the previous one.
The creep spread.
Creep further.
Yeah.
So yeah, queens taking the front line here. Good arc. The lings coming in from the side, really jumping on everything and getting to the tanks. The SCVs kind of shielding them for a bit, but now the queen's in range to finish them off.
Beautiful cleanup, yeah.
SCVs still overpowering a bit as the Marines never.
I was
really
going to say the only time that the Marines are going to fight is if the lings are on top of them.
Yeah.
And too close for them to run away out of range.
Yeah, it looks like the lings don't totally know what to do. They're looking for surface area, but they were kind of like body blocked out by all the SCVs, and now finally getting to it. This one unsieged, but yeah, what looked like it was going to be a really easy cleanup ended up not being because kind of some units just get ignored.
Yeah, it was a hard, like the lings were just focused on the tank so hard and not really doing the thing where you retarget if SCVs are healing the thing that you're trying to attack.
Yeah.
And like you said, yeah, the Marines, this is the first time they've ever actually gotten some use out of them, or at least gotten damage. So that helps, but I mean, I think Eris just buys time until however many mutas they want to make are up. I think they did hold it well enough, even though it did get a lot uglier than I think it could have been.
Yeah, there's still queens here. Like, it's not a total reset of this. There's still 4 queens dancing around. There's still lings coming out 5. No workers were really lost in that. So he's got a massive worker lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the momentum is just fully gone. So now the tank count's super low. Tier's going into medevacs and going into the next stage of the game, but they need to get their third base down like ASAP if they want to keep playing this out, I feel like.
Yeah, and that's going to be really hard to do in the face of a mutaflock that's going to come out. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything on Tier's side that, like, you wouldn't even know that this was about to happen. Like,
the amount of vision and scouting is pretty minimal.
It could basically be anything. But yeah, having 12 mutas coming out, and they're going to just go backstab, keep you in your base for however long until Eris gets up to late game, basically. And Tier can't really afford to lose any workers or anything on the 2 base economy.
Yeah, going for that kind of push. Tier did sacrifice a lot of economy, and now the mutas are going to come in and can almost just fight the
You can
marine
really
count.
just fight the army. Yeah,
The
exactly.
marine count is not that great.
Yeah, there's not like turrets, anything like that. I think they're looking for a way around. But yeah, they could pick off tanks, go for the mineral line, just dog walk this army around, basically.
Yeah, as long as every single marine is not fighting them, they should be able to win. So as long as they split up and make the marines run around, yeah, this looks like it's going to be really annoying. And Eris's supply is still just skyrocketing up.
Splitting now into the main and the third, which is like if you can get your flying units both on the top and bottom of a cliff, it's just so annoying.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's just manually running around. And like you said too, I don't think these still have stim, so they can't even really chase it down. Picking off the tank there.
Yeah, and the starport was so late because of the tank push that like you're digging into medevac production to build these Vikings, which still aren't even that great against mutas. You know, like 1 or 2 Vikings are just not going to really cut it. So yeah, this is just going to be super annoying for Tyr and kind of force Tyr's hand into making units that are really not going to be helpful for the Ling, Roach, whatever flood that's going to come on the ground after this.
You're cleaning up a lot of SCVs at the third base here. The Muta's not really committing to anything super strong, but just flying in like 2 or 3 separate little packs that are just pulling everything around and being quite annoying, and then supported by the few ground units, which are relatively cheap, but can get into those positions when you've got either just an exposed base or, you know, eventually get on a turret. Like there's that one damaged roach over there.
I know, I keep watching
super
them.
Annoying.
Do they have
Yeah.
burrow yet? I would think. Okay, they do.
Yeah,
I think they just burrowed for a second.
Yeah.
Well, which gets another scan out, you know, like.
And we got attacking back in the main here again, right on the gas. You can see on the mini map.
Yeah, just a flock of mutas coming in and out.
I don't think he can push them out because he's now having to keep this army in the front to stop just a full-on roach queen attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the meantime, like he'll hold this, but in the meantime, his main is just still being attacked.
And the creep spread is almost
crazy.
the entire map at this point.
Yeah.
Which means, you can see Eris's supply is already maxed, 2,000 in the bank. That's not going to change. It's just going to be a bigger bank, and it's going to be remaxing whenever you can. We got a fungal, which is pretty sweet. I feel like I don't see a ton of fungals.
It's a lot of people don't live long enough against Eris to
That's
get
fair,
to that
yeah.
point, but that's what it does. And you're going to start to now get the Vipers coming out as well. You're going to get Lurkers coming out. Eventually, Eris does kind of tech to everything. It just very often doesn't have to because the game is over before that occurs.
Yeah, Infestor, Roach, Hydra, Ling, Muta. Great comp. I would love to see some Ultras.
Yeah, I don't even know if he does. I think he does eventually, but it's
it'll take a while.
Get there, I think he goes through Broodlord first. So
Oh,
I
that's
don't know
fair.
if
That's
we
fair.
ever get to Ultra.
I'd take Broodlords.
Yeah. Yeah, he just continues to like upgrade, and it's broken through here now. So Tyr with basically a similar strategy all 3 games, but the coordination of it, I think in the second game just worked out really well. It was actually pretty good in this one too, but since Eris went off to basically back to its more normal strategy, and here's the surround, and you can kind of see that they were trying to get at one of the tanks, the one that's still alive here, but never attacking the SCVs next to them.
Yeah.
Which is often, so they must have been like trying to click on it instead of just attack moving.
Well, either way, you never attack the SCVs, right? Because if you're attack moving, well, they at least hit the Marines.
And if you attack move and they're repairing, then they get the same priority as the thing they're repairing.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. That change. It wasn't like that initially, but it changed to that. So
Is that real? I actually didn't know that. I always would like hold command or start targeting.
You can do the hold if you surround them and hold such that they're not offensive. Then it won't attack them. But if you're actually
as SCVs, I mean, like as like if it was my Lings, I would right click the tank and then hold command so that like they weren't quite on it, they would attack around it. But I actually didn't know that changed. Was that with like the carrier change almost?
I forget when that was. I feel it was a long time ago. Someone may remember.
Okay.
But
I know like the carrier one was semi recent of like units will just target the carriers and not the interceptors anymore, which
Yeah.
has its own world of problems as well. You know, like
Yeah.
you could do some kind of funky stuff with that as well.
When an SCV repairs a unit, it gains the same AI targeting priority as the unit which it is repairing, which also applies to a planetary.
Crazy.
Because that was one of the issues.
Yeah, I
People
remember.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
trying to see when this.
if you didn't have like
changed, though, I don't know.
disruptors or like storm to stop the SCVs, it would be a pain.
Yeah, it doesn't say when this changed, but it must have. Yeah, whatever. But I feel like it was a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I just assumed that. Yeah, I had to do more.
All right, so pretty good match. Already going to game 3 right off the bat, and a good back and forth one. Those two bots are quite evenly
Well, it was-
matched. Yeah.
Game 3, I feel like, was very one-sided. Game 3 felt very, like, the whole time Eris was looking very good. Game 1 and 2, I thought both those could have gone to
Yeah.
tier very easily. So, yeah, very fun set. Rough game 3 to end on, and definitely is not representative. I feel like game 1 and 2 was a better
Game
screenshot.
3 kind of made it like, why did Eris deviate from what
Yeah,
it usually does anyway?
If this is what you
Because
would have
that
done,
was
just do
dominant.
that.
Yeah, exactly. So I like the triple roach burrow thing, but then I think there has to be a little more to there. Either has to be more effort in splitting up so that that stays alive longer. Because if the idea of that is I'm going to do this, get a tiny bit of damage done, but then keep you in your base, then you need to keep those alive.
Yeah, you gotta be a
And
little more
so-
annoying.
Yeah. So one scan can't clear them. But anyway, on to a match number 2 here. We're going to have Sharkbot versus Benbot BC. Sharkbot here with 6 appearances and Benbot with 8. Both kind of maybe like second, third generation all-stars for this, coming in kind of halfway through the tournament's life. But Sharkbot here, strategy is following his gut, and his gut is full of cheese. So it can be cheesy, can be very we've seen shield battery rushes, we've seen like tempest rushes, void ray rushes, things like that. Weaknesses are bugs, not playing the Zerg right now, so should be okay.
Which in my head, as far as like cheese goes, Terran is usually the worst at cheese, in my opinion. In my head, like
Often,
SCVs having more health, Marines having range, like are just such big like I mean, the wall off, such big anti-cheese factors. So it does surprise me that Sharkbot is anti-Zerg rather than anti-Terran.
Yeah, for sure. I think it has to be more standoffish in its cheese, but it still finds a way. He did a lot of, I think, like proxy tempests and things like that in the past.
I love these tempests.
Yeah, Sharkbot, of course, did start as a chatbot and has evolved into a StarCraft 2 playing bot. Benbot is obviously makes BCs. It's Benbot BC. It's going to make BCs. You can't stop it. Deal with
You can't.
Yeah.
You can, and you will win if you do. But
well, true.
But when you can't, then you really can't.
Weakness to Mass Tempest and Mass Thor. Sharkbot has had some history of the Mass Tempest, or at least early Tempest. Maybe not Mass. I guess it gets to Mass, but early Proxy Tempest. Special things. So this is the bunker. The bunker logistics of Benbot basically will sometimes start with the bunker rush, but it's kind of meant as a contain, and then other times will only bunker on the home side. Yeah, exactly. Too, and it'll be like a double bunker, very fortified position with widow mines, with turrets, with tanks.
Yeah, I remember they almost always have a widow mine behind their little depot wall, ready to get some tank shells out, and you get a widow mine and a tank hit, and those are some damaged units. Whatever got hit is very damaged. I feel like the last time I saw Sharkbot, they were playing some long games too, right? Like, didn't they have some like long, like 30-minute?
Yeah, there's some macro stuff in here too. Sharkbot can kind of do whatever. I think leans to the cheese, but also has control of all units. Has some late game stuff, things like that. Like has Storm, thing programmed in, so can definitely take it long, which is good because Benbot it always has long games basically. It's basically if he can win short games, because sometimes the bunker rush thing just wins, but BenBot's like never lost like a 5-minute game.
Okay.
I don't think. Yeah.
I was thinking at first that's where Sharkbot's advantage would be to try to make it a 5-minute
Maybe,
game.
Yeah.
But BenBot does love bunkers.
Yeah, it's pretty defensive.
To love BCs,
So-
you kind of have to love bunkers, you know. So it does make sense that he doesn't really play like BenBot's not really a greedy defensive player.
Yeah.
He's like a tech heavy defensive. You know, like it's like
Yeah.
it's a very different game than an eco greed where
Yeah,
you're
'cause the whole
over expanding
idea-
and
you're
becoming
trying
way
to get
too
up
vulnerable.
to. Yeah, you're trying to be super efficient, but get up to the BC, and I think that was always the original premise. Is I'm going to BC, and then as he fought better and better bots, it's like, okay, I need to do stuff to live to get to the BC part.
yeah.
That's basically it. And so now he's pretty good at doing that. But yeah, I think you're right that a Sharkbot may go for something aggressive, try and make it short so that you don't end up in that situation. But let's see.
It's almost like
See what we get.
BenBot VC. Sharkbot.
Beginning here. Let me see.
I swear I read this one because I immediately was like, oh, this is way harder than I expected. Sharkbot does love writing letters though.
So BenBot is going out for the proxy here, and Sharkbot has a letter for us. I'll get to as soon as there's slightly less action. Although this is weird action.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Can he not read like
Yeah.
the other? Oh, and it's a cannon rush.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
So there's action kind of here on both sides. The pylon will be canceled. I don't know whether second one's kind of. I wonder if he's
SCV.
conflicted.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other probe is building the other pylon instead of the probe that's there.
Yeah. I think this screwed up whatever they were trying to do over here. Like, I think they want it to just go across. Found this essentially by accident.
And started
And-
glitching out.
Yeah, and don't know what's up. Because
Yeah.
who wants to make this other pylon? Because is it that guy?
Yeah, like which probe is coming
Yeah.
in eventually.
Is it him? Yeah.
I think it's the one that was attacked. Oh my gosh, but it worked. BenBot's pulling the barracks immediately.
Yeah.
Which I think BenBot
it's
had a
floating home
great
to defend.
position before that. Oh, unfortunate build. Oh,
He's trying to get
my
a cannon down the low ground, but
my
it's,
cannon rush heart is
yeah.
breaking watching
Yeah.
this.
Not quite gonna get there. Okay, this one may get out,
It's not really tucked
Yeah,
as
okay.
you'd like it, but oh my
but
god.
it's okay. Given that they're not swarming it yet, SCVs have to respond to this pretty quick. He's pulling away, and he's gonna get potentially a gateway up here. There's already like a barracks, like building stuff.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. These probes, like the other one
Yeah.
is always in the spot where they want to build, but it's the other one building it always.
Now he will get up. What's interesting here, he's trying to like pylon off the upper thing, both for vision and to just stop them from even coming down at all. But there's a barracks on the low ground here too, and there's a bunker on the low ground already there. And he doesn't actually have to come anywhere near this stuff. So the Marines could just kill the pylons on the high ground without ever getting in range of the cannon. And even the position of the second barracks on the low ground and kill the other pylon without getting. So he's got high ground and low ground control without going near the cannon.
And there's no gateway.
Yeah.
Like
There
this
was
is
supposed to be.
yeah, this is like so bad for Sharkbot. Sharkbot has an expansion which is
Yeah.
cool in its own right, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
But no gateway means that as soon as this is down, there's just like the Marines are completely uncontested.
And had the cannons too been like a pixel over?
What probe
then
is
they-
trying to build this gateway?
Yeah,
It's
I don't
so
know. This one.
frustrating.
this one. Now there's a bunker in front too. There's a couple Marines that are obviously scared of the cannons, which is fair enough. But there's nothing in that bunker, and he could have just filled that up too. He got them anyway. The
Oh my
SCV's trying to
God.
come down here though. It's like, what do you? I don't know what they're doing. If
Like,
the
are they
cannon,
like pre-repairing the bunker?
yeah,
Like
if the cannon could hit the ramp, this would be possibly over because he's paraded.
yeah, he's begging to be
like,
shot.
Yeah, the whole thing. But yeah, these guys again can attack this Nexus completely at range. I
Because
think
you need the Nexus
yeah.
here.
they could get that pylon too, but I don't
Oh,
think they
absolutely,
know
yeah.
that. Yeah, they don't.
They just
seem
attack it a
to know
little bit
that.
further. I mean, yeah, this looks terrible for Sharkbot.
Sharkbot is expanding to a third, though, as Observer points out here, and so it's not completely over. He hasn't saturated, but Benbot doesn't have a natural either. So while he's got 31 workers, and then I don't know what's going on.
This
right
Nexus
here.
is like the biggest bait in the
Yeah.
world. it is actually turning into marine kills, which
Whatever triggered this to be
is
just
wild.
to go attack is weird because this is all unforced losses.
oh my gosh, the cannon does. Okay, the cannon dies with the last shot of that marine. This
They're
is just
snowing
like
now.
making my tummy hurt. But yeah, Sharkbot, they're getting a Cybercore at home, but I mean, I don't know. If Benbot doesn't play it right, Sharkbot is
Now,
still
Benbot still has to like expand and stuff, and then getting baited in like this.
kill the
He was
pipe.
doing the right thing, and then
And they
they'll
switch
get it
off,
anyway.
they switch on, they switch off.
but he could easily have 12 more Marines right now.
Okay, but Sharkbot also needs to like not expand for the fourth time and like get some units out.
Possibly. I think maybe he's relying now on Benbot's passivity to be like, if you go into a normal game, your normal game is to wait for 10 minutes now.
Well, okay, I'll give you this. You don't even have to build units. Build workers though. If you're gonna build 4 bases, have more than
you
25
gotta
workers.
populate them.
You have like
That's
a
true.
1 base saturation right now.
I get the feeling from the Twilight. My first thought, he's going to DTs. He's not done.
And look at the gas.
Yeah.
He is triple gas on like multiple of these geysers. That's 6 on gas there. At his third, I think he may have 6 more on gas.
I think he blocked one of his. Yeah, that gas is blocked by his own gateway.
But I mean, he's still
So
got
he's
3 on
doing
it.
he's got 3 on it, but he should have 6 on it
Yeah, yeah.
because he's missing gas.
Or should
But,
just take his
oh
other
well.
natural gas or something.
Yeah, here comes Benbot. I think making the right call to move up.
0
Nothing.
army units.
Yeah, nothing on the
Shark
other
bot.
side.
He's just waiting for Warp Gate.
So
It's driving me nuts. I guess he's also just broke because he has 4 Nexi.
yeah, he's got no minerals.
And he's got
Yeah.
like 7 people
Yeah.
mining minerals. All right, Dark
Yeah, see,
Side.
it is the dark side. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, there's no way the Sharkbot's done being cheesy. But then, yeah, to your point, why the 4 bases then? You can do this off 2.
Yeah. Especially with this worker number, you can do this off almost 1.
Yeah, especially since like you're only actually mining from 2. You don't even have 40 workers.
Yeah. Yeah, the 4th is just a placeholder, just in case. All right, I mean, Warp Gate's done, and Sharkbot's still not building army units.
Saving, he doesn't have any money.
But like, stop
He's-
building anything.
could.
Why are you getting a Templar Archives as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah, and a robo.
This is
He's just everything.
insane. All right, well, Benbot wins game 1.
He goes. Is he gonna go up though?
Oh wait, Azel's coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
Hold on. Hold on, these 4 bases are about to kick in. Oh, that's a bad pylon. Every tech building.
Splitting up now to the natural and 4th, taking out pylons. Luckily, the supply is low enough that it doesn't matter. Instant kill on the zealot. He has the dark shrine done, but he's got no money to build even a single DT.
Oh, he's gonna get one. He's gonna get one.
Get one?
Come on.
No, it went somewhere else. You know,
No, to
Stargate.
Stargate,
You
obviously.
gotta get your Stargate before you get your first DT out.
Obviously,
Yeah,
Stargate.
he's still thinking carrier. Okay, there's one.
There's a DT.
Scan.
And the other DT runs into scan too.
Yeah.
Tragic. All right. Well, that maybe I don't want to see Protoss bots. You know, maybe these are the worst bots.
You're all right. It was fun. It was.
It was fun.
Yeah. Stuff almost worked, kind of.
The cannons almost worked. Like early on, it almost worked, and then it got so weird and so ugly. We got another Nexus going down. Ooh, I love that runaway. That runaway, actually really good. Everything else.
There we go.
This also drove me nuts.
Yeah,
The fact that
crazy.
there are two of them
Gonna
on there,
stop that.
and nothing hits the SUV.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and if the probes could have reprioritized to his building what? To just build the buildings instead of waiting for the other one that was across the map, then maybe something happens there.
Those were brutal, and yeah, it looks so hard when your probe is getting chased to do any kind of movement into queuing into building. You know, like those have to be so precise to not get, you know, what's it called, flat tired when people like step on the back of your heel.
Yeah.
You know, like the probes like are getting back tired. They can't get anything up. You know. Yeah, that was rough.
So we're gonna go on. Before we jump into this one, I'll read the poem quickly, which we should have done before the start there. But poem from Sharkbot. Dear ProBots, please stop daydreaming about my cheese grater abs for a few moments and listen to my poem. He wrote and listened twice to my poem. In the shadows of the early dawn, a sneaky plan begins to spawn. With probes from ire, the mission's clear. Cannon rushing brings the enemy fear. A pylon placed, then cannons in line. A fortress built, oh so divine. While foes prepare their troops to fight, the photon beams will shine so bright. With every shot, their hopes decay. As structures crumble, they rue the day. In this bold rush, a cunning play. Cannon rushing leads the way. Love, Sharkbot. So that would have made more sense before the last game, but let's see if he does it again.
I want to see it again. Let's go.
Sharkbot. Benbot BC.
Ready. So I'll tell you. So we're getting the proxy racks again. However, he did not get spotted this time. We could kind of see them pass each other. We get the pylon going up at the top of the ramp, but there's a proxy off on the other side of the third here as well, and a gas steal on Benbot's side. I don't know that he wanted those anyway.
Yeah,
but he may divert resources to try and free them.
And it's just the gateway stuff. Okay, 2 gateways. Is it a forge as well? Because the 2 gateway forge used to be a kind of popular cheese. Okay, no, more of a flower type build.
Yeah. Is he gonna just go zealots though? Because then why did you do the gas?
I still kind of like the gas steal.
Yeah.
Just like take tanks off the table almost completely. You know, just because oftentimes tanks will be like, all right, now the cheese is over. You know, no matter what cheese you're going for, tanks oftentimes are the adults coming to the party and being like, all right, everybody go home. This isn't happening. It's done.
So here again, so the barracks finishes and floats back home. I think in this case, it might have been interesting to see him continue for the bunker rush.
Oh, I think in both, like, especially if you don't wall off your main or have like cannons ready in your main, getting attacked while cannon rushing is like the worst thing that can happen to you because you don't have jack at home. You know, you have like a cyber core building and then your gateway and all their defense on the other side of the map. So I think even last game, building a Marine or two, or heck, a Reaper, wreaks havoc on a Cannon Rusher's base. Reapers are amazing. I don't know what that's. Oh,
I think he wanted to
one SCV.
But so where is Marine? Marine needs to get down into this bunker soon, sooner than this.
Honestly, the MVPs right now for me are these 2 probes.
Yeah.
They probably got like 4 SCV kills.
Yeah.
And kept this wall open, like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
if
doing
if they didn't,
numbers.
then this is a totally closed position.
One
fully
has
built
3,
position.
and one has 2. Yeah,
Yeah.
5 kills
Yeah.
between the 2 of them. Some goated probes.
And these SCVs are so focused on finishing these buildings that they're not repairing the bunker, which is what they really need. But then the zealot moved away from the bunker.
Yeah, what are the zealots?
And they left it burning, and well, now it's not being repaired either. And there's a bunch of things happening. Okay, we'll eventually get this. Had that continued to repair, then that's a different situation too.
These look like 2 street fighters that
Yeah.
are not playing by the rules, and it's kind of ugly, but
Yeah.
man, they're hitting each other.
The zealots are going to start to group up. There's a bunch of injured ones, but there's like 4 more about to join this front. Or are they
Yeah.
attacking the depots for no reason? I think that's what they're doing.
I think they're getting the depots.
Yeah, okay. But they're eventually going to come. Eventually 6 are going to end up here.
Ooh,
and
we have
there's no
stalkers
workers
coming
left.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah, okay.
breakthrough. But yeah, I think you're right. The 2 probes, absolute MVPs. If that's not the case, then everything's still on the outside, attacking the bunker from one side with SCVs repairing behind. And I don't think this is a problem. But but they got in there, and
Yeah, and they were just on it so fast. Which they couldn't do it when it was a
just delayed
proxy
all
racks.
this. Yeah.
But when it's their wall, they did a great job of.
Yeah, this is before a zealot has killed anything. 9 SCVs were dead
Yeah.
from those probes, basically.
They are worth their weight in gold for sure. And it's one of those times where like sometimes people kind of, they don't want to take the extra probe across the map, and like it's a little bit wasteful of like the resources and stuff. But the damage output, this may surprise you, of 2 probes compared to 1, double. They do double the damage, and so you can kind of actually start putting on some threats when you have 2 probes, 3 probes actually attacking and trying to get that chip damage in quick. So
Most certainly can.
pretty similar
And,
games. Didn't cross the way that they did the first game, so we'll see if match 3 just has
This one they might again, because we're both on top, so it's the
oh
horizontal map. So they likely will see each other. However, Benbot often doesn't do the bunker rush again if it lost with it, so it may
yeah, okay.
not do that and build it home. So let's hop in and see on our second ace match of the day.
Sharkbot. Benbot BC.
All right, and I totally lied. I said that was game 1 and game 2 look similar. I forgot game 1 was Cannons, game 2 was Zealots. It was cheese, and it was
Yeah, cheesy, and this stuff happened
both of them cheesing. And,
regardless.
yeah,
But yeah. So yeah, Benbot is building it home right away. That probe getting down to low hull, I think, is going to help if that goes on the offensive again. And then this is scouted right away. So
Instantly,
I think
yeah.
all of a sudden we've got a very different start to what's here
Oh.
before, and that probe dying is huge.
yeah, because that's kind of the situation where they were getting so much value picking off those SCVs trying to build up the wall, but now that Benbot has scouted the proxy, they're putting a lot more respect on it. They have a lot more workers down to defend the SCV that was building the initial depot wall, which I assume will eventually be some bunkers as well. Oh, and the SCVs on the pylon is actually awesome. I kind of did not expect them to go for it for some reason.
They started to chase that probe, and I was worried about whether they'd break it off, and they did. Luckily, probe will come back to try and harass, but again, it's really low.
Yeah,
so he can't actually fight. And then a Marine coming. I think
this is
gonna end
super shut down. Yeah, I'd love to see a cancel on that third gate. Get a cyber core down. Yeah, cyber core down at least, but yeah, no cancel.
And he may send something out to try and actually we see a
Oh,
massive
huge
red,
probe pull.
massive red coming to try and salvage this.
What
But,
the? They don't even have they don't have money for a pylon to rebuild. I guess I have a couple probes
I-
still mining.
Yeah, I don't know if this is meant to be a worker rush, but there's
It is now.
Marines in the bunker here anyway. Yeah.
All right, Benbot BC takes map 3.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the like idea that you can just like be like a Terran and just be like, I'm pulling the boys. Screw this. We're going in. Yeah, these boys are not.
Yeah, there's no salvaging a lost proxy position with 3 gateways in it. Like that's it.
And if there is a way to salvage it,
Yeah.
it's not pulling all of your workers.
Yeah, probably not. He's still got 8 at home.
He's gonna get some
And-
gas so he can get a Dark Shrine
Yeah.
up, of course.
Yeah, of course. There is the cyber. No production though. He's got minerals. He's not putting anything on gas. He's not even making probes. So I think that was like literally that was just it.
He broke.
Okay,
Oh, what?
there, another gateway.
Hey, listen.
I guess as the other ones died, maybe he's now told to rebuild them. but as long
Benbot
as
gives him
they
a
were
little
up,
too much time, and he's gonna be back in this game. You just wait.
Indeed, with the no base build.
You just wait. All right.
There we go. Benbot advancing on to our semifinals. Yeah, just kind of handling it in a weird way in game 1. Dying a lot to cannons that he didn't have to, but still was able to hold it. Game number 2, kind of just got walked over because he just couldn't get a wall up. In this one, scouted everything early, killed the probes early. Every decision was right by Benbot
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah, the worker versus worker micro was just like infinitely better from Benbot. Had more worker, it kind of gave more respect to Sharkbot and like their rush, and so just had more workers down there, which just makes such a big difference when you're playing the poke and prod and run around game. Killing the first worker and then getting on the pylon, such a easy way to make it so like one-sided. Like if you get that pylon, there's no shot. And Benbot will take it, which means that Benbot will face Eris in the semifinals, best of 5.
Indeed. So good matches all go into game 3 so far, and we're going to jump into a 5-minute break. It is a great time to check out ProBotsAI.com.
Net
And ours I think is the .com. Theirs is the
okay.
net, I think. Yeah. So
Oh,
ours is
Arena,
ProBotsAI.com. Yeah, it's
You're right,
AIarena.net.
You're right.
Is the latter. So yeah, check it out there. Support, become a member, etc. And it's also a great time if you haven't to hit the like and subscribe button to stay up to date with ProBots. I don't have one of those stats. A lot of the YouTubers do the
Only 20% of you that
yeah.
watch these videos are subscribed,
subscribe,
which is
It helps
a
out the
dismal
channel.
stat.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what ours is, but Jack probably knows. But either way, if you're not subscribed, just subscribe.
You're part of the problem.
Yeah, don't be a statistic,
Don't.
or at least be the correct side of the statistic. But we'll be back in 5 with the second 2 matches of the night. See ya.
And we're back. We're back for the second half of ProBots 2024 Season 2, Day 6, Round of 8. Booyakasha. We're back. All right. So this is the sorry, I just got a quick someone. I hate when I have Discord open and then someone like puts a meme in front of you. All right, but we're back into the next half of our show. You know what's not a meme? These bots. Boys, how did you feel about that first half? I want to hear your thoughts. Like, so wild. It's so wild.
Definitely wild. Like,
I love
one of my
Round of 8.
favorite things in the bot stuff that, like, you mentioned this last week, I think, like, that contradicts something that people said at the beginning is why you're doing multi-game series.
Yeah.
The bots
Yeah.
are bots and they're going to do the same thing. We just saw the same things happen in multiple games and have wildly different results. So that's why. And I love that the map, like the same instructions on different maps, completely different results, and minor tweaks in what each bot is doing, wildly different results.
Yeah. I would love to go back in time and push that roach a little bit more north of the scan range of one of the first 3 roaches. And like I think it was like the second game that Tier T ended up winning, just to see if that would have been the difference, because it is, yeah, just small stuff like that like, well, now the bot wants to stay there for an extra 2 minutes, and now everything, is a whole different end game, and everything changes. Yeah, I feel like both these sets were great examples of games 1 and 2 looked very similar to each other, and both had the opposite victor of each other. And then game 3 was kind of like, I don't want to say a wash, but game 3 was like, all right, the bot that won really, really won, and it didn't look close. Both of the first 2 games of both sets were like, I could totally see this other bot winning, or it going a different way. But then, yeah, game 3, the better bots really came out on top.
And I'm gonna spring this on production, so I don't know if they can throw some of the replays up while we're talking, because I actually have some really, for me, there are a lot of interesting points I want to bring up when it comes to where we are now. Because if we take the game of game 1, Tier versus Eris, I like even Eris burrowing, and then when he's being scanned, coming up and then running away. I think people don't understand how much of that is just a far leap of where the bots have come from, and even how reactive that is to be aware that you're scanning, be aware that you're under attack, and then moving away, and then when the scan is ended, to burrow back again. And I guess it shows sort of the robustness of Eris. Obviously not hard-coded, but reactive, and that Eris is a beast to be for. And Tier came really put him on a little bit of a back foot.
Tier should have won game 1. Yeah,
I mean,
we all are thinking it. We're all thinking it.
It was a little bit of a robbery there, and there's a bit of a robbery, and that we have to call the police. But at the same time, Eris played it beautifully, and it's what you come to expect of Eris. And this is typical round of 8, where before you are in the earlier parts, round of 16, even groups, you're like, okay, well, what are we going to see this season, right? We're looking a little lopsided. We're looking like a lot of 2-0s, or we're like, what are we going to look at? And then you get to the round of 8, and they start to dance. Now you're starting to get these bots starting to just counter each other. You have Tier coming in, bringing in the tanks and trying to creep onto Eris, going on to creep. Eris still being super aggressive. Well, not aggressive, but still, having the answers for it and stitching up strategies. So I'm loving to see what we're seeing here. So far, in terms of the first half, what was your favorite game in Discord?
I think I think the third probably Eris and Tier game, just because I think, again, Tier executed the push in well, and then even kind of stayed there, kept things alive, but then you kind of got to see the Eris swarm take over, and you got to see the classic stall out until it had enough stuff, sort of thing. I think that was a good one, but I think all of these were quite good, though. There wasn't really a bad,
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the same game. I haven't seen Eris in their full Erisness.
Yeah.
Which everyone's always talking about it, and I saw last week I saw them lose, and I was like, I just haven't seen the dominance. And games 1 and 2, I thought Tier should have won both of those. Yeah. But at the end of the set, it looked like Eris was the one that should have gone ahead. Game 3, Eris walked, danced, glided all over.
Eris, you hadn't seen it yet, but when Eris is Eris, it's like Vader in the hallway.
Yeah,
it's that level of.
I wanted to see the triple expand, I wanted to see that, and so I really liked that game because it did look a lot more like a Serral, it just it looked a lot cleaner. And then I loved and hated game 1 of Sharkbot. Yeah. The probes and stuff were driving me absolutely bonkers, but there were so many situations where it's like, oh, that could be so much better, or just change this or just do this, and it was heart-wrenching, which is enjoyable in its own right. I hated it, but I loved the passion that it put in me, the emotion.
Sharkbot is an odd character, an odd bot in a sense, because he has, I would say, first place creativity. He has the creativity of a first place bot, but his execution, I would say, is definitely sometimes to be desired. But He has the creativity. He has the creativity. Probably, I would say probably one of the most creative bots in all of ProBots in terms of the way that he incorporates human builds into his bot. He will try very varied types of like wildly different types of builds. Like I will find Tears builds, it has a lot of them, but they have a very similar shift to them. They're very similar premise, and they have just a different way of just a slightly different way to approach it. While you will have Sharkbot will go cannon rush, and then you'll have like a flower 4-gate, and then you'll have like a full-on cannon rush 4-gate inside your main. Like it,
and then we'll do like a 30-minute macro gate. Like I'm pretty sure the 2 weeks ago that I also casted, I'm pretty sure Sharkbot went like late game almost every game, and we were like, what is going on?
and I think that's not his strongest suit, just because like sometimes he'll, like we saw there from the game, a Dark Shrine came, and I'm like, okay, well, where's Dark Shrine gonna go to? Like
a lot of tech came that game. I think he had a Stargate Robo, Dark Shrine Templar Archives.
Had the game not ended, there was going to be a fleet beacon.
He had everything
like,
that game.
It was continuing.
And one day we'll have to ask him and have a conversation, just understand if that's just like a kitchen sink approach where it's like, I don't know, one of these will stop you, or if there's like a method to the madness and we are just too low IQ to understand the method of Sharkbot.
I think one thing too that you understand with Sharkbot is he's just a really good sport. So and I think he values the showmanship over just that this is going to win. So so I think he's trying to put on a show. In a way that maybe sometimes supersedes the this is the best strategy, but more of a this will be a fun. And
if this works, they're gonna love it.
Yeah, so I respect that.
I actually can go along with it. I think that is probably more often than the case. I think that's a really he always, you know what, that poem was good. I hope that can make a like a highlight of that, because that poem was much delicious, very delicious. Wasn't expecting it, but you know what I wasn't expecting? When I looked at these statistics, there is only 34% of you subscribed or watching. What's the rest of you doing?
Shame.
All right, hold my earrings 1 sec. All right, you got to hit that subscribe button right now and get started, and then that like button while you're there. Do both. While
they're so close to each other.
They're so close. You might as well. And then, of course, if you want to get
the
started,
little bell too.
Oh
the
my
bell
God,
is great.
Get notified.
It's got it. Yeah. True YouTubers up in here. Yeah, all those things, you hit them. And the reason why you want to see more of these. And then we have other contents coming with bits of code, and then also other highlights from our shows. So, and if you want to get started, there is in the description below a bot template, which we put out. I fixed it. Finally, it's fully working. You can get yourself started on Python, easy made bot. And then once you've gotten the hang of it, you can upgrade that bot. There's a script in there that will upgrade your bot to the Eris framework. So you too can have all the power of Eris condensed into your bot. It's actually pretty cool. I actually use the Eris framework for my own bot. You can join me on Mondays. Every Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, and we do a mob programming where you can help me put together a bot project that goes onto the micro ladder, and we kept code together. It's actually really fun. And if you want to do even more of that, you can actually go to probotsai.com or !join and become a member, and you can join me live in that coding session. Easy peasy. All right, so I've said my piece, done my shill. Let's go to the games. I'll give it to you, casters.
Alrighty, but yeah, definitely check that out. I've tuned into the bot coding. It's fun, especially the beginning. If you have time, go back and watch the first episodes, because Drekken doesn't know how to code or anything, and so it's like him. Also, like, and neither do I. So, like, if you're starting, this isn't an insult. He doesn't know how to code. I'm saying if you don't know, go back to the start, because it's often him working with like Copilot and stuff to even figure out the basics of like, what am I supposed to do, like, at all. So, you know, if you're interested in that, kind of rewind a bit and watch the old ones and then follow along, because it's it's interesting. It's fun to see how it all works, and things crash many times, but then eventually it works. So yeah, here we are, Xena versus Micro Machine. Xena is a random bot coded in Haskell, which I hadn't heard of until Xena. Um, describes it as hard coded, has been in the tournament 5 times. Used to be, and we'll see if it goes back to this, but used to be pretty cheesy bot, like most of the random bots tend to be. But it looks like it's kind of transitioned into a big macro bot. So I don't know if this strategy of aggressive is correct or this weakness of late game is correct anymore. I think there's been a shift in what we've got. Yeah, so good at, I guess, the system to help make build orders. And I feel those build orders have gotten a lot more complex between seasons. So, and that may vary by race a little bit. But yeah, built from scratch. No frameworks being used there at all. I think it is the only bot that I'm aware of in Haskell, at least in our tournament. So yeah, I think everything is just from the ground up.
Which is like kind of extra crazy for a random bot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
you
that
gotta
seems
figure
like the
everything
most
out.
mind-numbing. Yeah, it just seems like so much. Micro
Gotcha.
Machine put pressure and adapt its army composition to counter the enemy's army. The main strategy. So sounds like more of a later kind of game style. Weakness: some rushes still work well against it and has hard time dealing with swarm hosts and tempests. So we'll see again. Yeah, if Xena wants to play kind of the cheesy rushy route, or I mean, if they want to play super late game, they could also go into Tempest Swarm Host.
Yeah, and this one does have a few build orders, tends to pick what works best. So it will often state at the start of the game what it's going to pick and the past record against that bot, which it'll probably start at 0. But yeah, it will remember and adapt to what it was, what it works best, basically, and use that more. But you're going to see probably some constant aggression out of Micro Machine, regardless of which build is picked. And no additional, but again, the bot is from Quebec.
I'm always so grateful when the bots are big typers in chat, whether it's Sharkbot doing movie quotes or whatever, or when it's like Ketrock, this Raven killed this much resources, like just being able to see kind of the thought process, or at least the kind of checkpoints of thought is very fun to be able to see how they decide to move out or what they're taking in the knowledge.
Micro Machine, I think, in addition, will report attacking and retreating and what it thinks like the army supply is.
Yeah, I remember. Okay, I was thinking it was Micro Machine that would be like moving out with blank army supply, or like, yeah.
So it'll do stuff like that, and then tell you like attack aborted or whatever. I'm going home.
Yeah, or when they spot stuff and they'll be like enemy air units, and like it understands. All right, I got to start building some air defenses, or I just love
call out.
Yeah, getting to see it
cloaked units
work.
and like exactly. Yeah, so cool, and we are jumping into game 1. We'll see what race Xena is. I think a lot will depend on that and how Micro Machine responds to it.
Micro Machine. Xena.
Right, we got some more Protoss. Heck yeah!
Always a good time with the PVT. I think a lot of people think of the, TVZ as the quintessential StarCraft thing. To me, it's always the PVT.
I feel like especially the quintessential bot game, I feel like Ling's Marine is always what people kind of imagine as like, well, if you were perfect, you could control every Marine and every Ling. And those are always, I feel like, the AI races. But yeah, Protoss, way cooler, way better.
It's just cool.
And we've got a semi-normal opener. We do have 2 gates, which usually is kind of like a PvP. Oh, we have 3 gates.
Yeah, 3.
Okay.
So yeah, this could be pretty aggressive early on, especially since he hasn't expanded. It doesn't look as if he's going to, and this probe feels like it's going out for a proxy pylon.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe a proxy like Robo
That's
or
not
a fourth gate.
That's a weird position if it is a proxy. Yeah, you can often do the proxy, then the gate there to accelerate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the timing, I would assume it's a fourth gate, because I feel like if it was a Robo, you definitely want that pylon out. You don't want the pylon finishing with the Cyber Core, right? You want to kind of time that out better, which it could just be a sloppy build order, but because of that, I'm kind of hoping or kind of expecting that it's a 4-gate, and maybe we're just trying to rush this warp gate out and get stalkers in the main ASAP. And there it is.
There you go. Yeah. And that should time out well with the warp gate, which he is chrono boosting.
I love that.
Yeah. So makes a lot of sense. Xena, the warrior princess, on the warpath with the stalkers.
Yeah, Micro Machine gets just a 1/1/1, so it's gonna have first tank coming out. This first Reaper is not gonna do much anything. Yeah.
Now the stalker, good option for this here too, because very often when you proxy or try something really aggressive, Micro Machine does get a Reaper or two in your base, and it's hard to clean up. But the stalker is the perfect thing to deal with that. So does get the kill there, which is great, and it's going to be in a good position. There is a wall off at the front of Micro Machine's base, so it's going to be down to with the tank. So is this going to go well? Is Xena content with the contain, keep them on one base sort of thing in transition? Or is this going to be a death walk up a ramp?
Yeah, I'm scared of the second one. Because stalkers, especially when it's not like a human might build like one zealot and kind of like tank the first, tank hit, which I shouldn't say.
A
tank
lot of stalkers. Yeah.
They can take the first one. The problem with Micro Machine is the tank is almost too close, where it can be hit even if the wall's
just
up.
Get to it, yeah. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Before a repair gets on him, he's right on top of it. There is a Banshee coming out with Cloak on the way, but it's going to be a while before that is there. And there's just already a mass of stalkers in the base, and they're going to cut this down rapidly.
Yeah, never mind. I'm not scared at all. I think the tank being a little bit in a different spot, a little bit further back, I think it is really scary, because it's like 3 or 4 shots, and you can take out like 7 stalkers or something crazy. Like it just the splash damage really starts
on the ramp.
Yeah.
But there was enough room. They were too close. They just stormed in. I think once I saw too that it was like 9 stalkers coming.
Yeah.
If he goes in, and the first one's even like 6 or 7, which is often more human. The one thing that always plays into these rushes is the bots mine faster than humans. So you can actually squeeze out an extra stalker or two and get these things up.
Yeah, the number was
pretty
vast. Yeah, there were a lot of stalkers, which does just make it a lot easier. You almost need like 2 tanks already set up away from the ramp and like a Marauder or something. This did look a little too easy almost, And I feel like not enough went wrong for Micro Machine for it to look this easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's, and a 4-gate 1 base all in is a very dedicated aggressive push that should look pretty scary, but this looked like not close.
Yeah, I don't think he's scouted it well enough. I think the Reaper kind of getting caught by the stalkers and stuff, he didn't get as good a look.
Yeah,
and really know this was coming. Like you said, the tank positioning, a little too forward for where he wanted it to be. It's kind of a weird one. You either want that at behind, so more towards where the CC is, or you want it on this front corner.
Almost like shelling before they're even at the ramp.
Exactly, so that they got to pass it completely to even get up there to get the vision.
Yeah.
And then it's protecting your natural more. But where it was, it's kind of in the worst case of both worlds. It just gets picked off quite quickly. But Xena well executed there. That's more the cheesy. Not that it's more just the timing, but than the cheese. But it's just a really, really effective one.
I think it's just how you define
cheesy.
it. But I was gonna say 1 base or gate where if you don't get a kill, you're in a pretty rough spot.
But
Yeah.
yeah, strong attack. Going to Golden Order may get a different race, different map, different strategies. Let's hop into it and find out.
Xeno. Micro Machine.
All right, we've got a TVT, and it's another proxy.
Yep, makes sense. This pretty, fairly bold proxy. See if Micro Machine scouts for this. Something is moving out in
Oh,
this
yeah.
direction. So may know that this is a possibility,
And that's a
he'll
fast scout.
spot this.
Now,
Could shut this down, but he's going right by it.
I was
instead.
about to say, it doesn't have the worker. Yeah, micro. Man, it's crazy how much being able to have your workers target other workers and actually attack. Oh, it's its own proxy.
Doing his own. Yeah,
It has stuff to do.
yeah. He's busy. Bother him.
It's crazy how much of an effect that can have on games of just workers attacking other workers, especially when it's a proxy or super aggressive kind of situation. I mean, just thinking of that second Sharkbot game where the two probes got like 6-7 SCV kills. And it's like, yeah, that if you're attacking and they're not, or if your micro is a little bit better, it can really pay dividends.
Now, what's going to be interesting here is that Micro Machines proxy is a Marauder one. He often does like a two racks Marauder. This time he's got one at home at the wall, but the other forward. But it's a Marauder thing versus just a pure Marine one. Getting Concussive Shell, which not as impactful, but the durability of the Marauder potentially versus this, and then the fact that it's on both sides of it is going to be interesting.
I think that's going to suck for Micro Machine. I think if I'm, seeing the future correctly, I'm just seeing one Marauder at a time get eaten up by like 8 Marines. But we'll see. I mean, Xena could also get split up, and then the production's getting attacked by Marauders, and it gets kind of ugly in a different way.
Up here now, the Marauder, I think, does at least have to engage. Here you see that what we were talking about, relaunching offensive. Here's what my supply is. Here's what my enemy supply is.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to engage with things balanced the way they are at the moment. He's going to be forced to, but another Marauder is going to.
And the Marauder's going to be already behind the Marines. Yeah.
Which we'll kind of chase them in a couple different directions. He's finishing a couple off with the SCV help. He's not building another one though.
Supply depot went down,
because,
and Micro Machine was supply blocked. Yeah,
and he's also not running on gas because the SCVs had to be pulled. But on the lower end here, on the other side, 2 Marauders grouped up could potentially just break into the main on that side.
High ground.
Too.
High ground helping a lot. Okay.
Picked off, but he's fairly damaged. But we're getting, unfortunately, on top of the SCVs now. This one a little too scared to finish. They got to maintain that high ground vision and get more aggressive. They're on a clock, definitely, to break through.
Yeah, they need to break the depot down. But, I mean, it is Marauders, so that should not take that long. I actually don't know whose position I'm, enjoying more.
I don't know either. I think this one, if on Micro Machine's side, he gets 2 Marauders out and he stabilizes, which I think he's about to.
But the only scary thing is a Marauder went down on the other side. I did think Xena's base looked better for Micro Machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's still got 2 there. If he's got 2, it's stable. They're weak, but
You got a third coming.
yeah.
It's so much Marine production, but yeah, everything is just so spread out. But these 3 Marauders might be able to take out the actual proxy location of the 4 barracks. And then production is going to be way in Micro Machine's favor.
Yeah, this is still looking good. I think he's done enough damage here. They're both at 17 workers, but I feel like Xena's build is much more worker intensive. Like there's 6 racks out.
They require more workers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it requires a lot more to keep it going. And there's no second gear to this. There's no gas on Xena's side. There's no transition on his Xena side, whereas Micro Machine can pull into something else if he wants to. But if this causes a group up to come, that's always a threat too. And he can get on top of the racks on this side.
Yeah.
The fact that it's not home is a problem. But now
Oh,
these
that's
are being
one dead
attacked.
Rex.
So yeah, so it's kind of even here as well.
It's such a weird game. Yeah.
But yeah, you can see Micro Machine is transitioning out. He's getting Reaper as well. Both of them are now expanding. But a factory is coming down on Micro Machine's side. That's not going to be there for a while for Xena, even if he is going to continue.
And Micro Machine got Stim. Got obviously the concussive shell. So like having that tech lab to be able to get upgrades and kind of begin on the tech lead as well. And when this factory's done, can start going straight into tanks. I mean, the tech advantage that Micro Machine has just for the going for the Marauder rush instead of the Marine rush is pretty significant. We'll see if these Marines can actually get on top of these Marauders, though. They shouldn't be able to.
Gets the barracks into burning there too, which probably will not be repaired or anything.
And I think Micro Machine has like 3 Reapers or something. They've been building Reapers for a second now.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they're coming back across the map. They were trying to be aggressive, and now I think Micro Machine's realizing that they need all hands on deck on defense.
Yeah, a lot of Marines have ended up here. There's a tank on the way, but it's going to be a little while. This command center is probably going to go down. Xena is building a 3rd on his side, but there's an attack on the other side there as well. But yeah, the CC.
Oh, never mind. The Reapers are staying over. Well, one's over here, and then one's
over here.
Defense, yeah. But this
yeah,
Marine
whereas-
force is looking kind of scary.
Yeah, this was a concern that it kind of groups up and just goes, and there's not enough here. If it jumps on the tank quickly, this is a problem. The tank really needs to be defended by these SCVs.
And it doesn't matter.
It can't siege like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It either had to do that right away or not at all.
Yeah. Well, and Xena's Marines are actually went against it, sieging up very smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I feel like I do not always see the ranged units actually get on top of the tank, move command-wise to not get shelled. So yeah, really clean by Xena, and just a really unfortunate timing, honestly, for that tank. If it would have come out a little bit earlier, or maybe even later, if the Marines like start, shooting
far
workers
away
on the
from
south,
it,
and you can kind of like get it on the north side or something like that. But it does look like Xena will clean it up, and that will be 2-0 from Xena.
Yeah, quite a reversal there. Like I think, if you went back about 2 minutes, it looked like it was going completely the other way. But then just kind of, it was almost like just little groups of Marines that then, it was like rallying an army of pilgrims or like peasants or something. Like just all across the map, they were just adding 1 or 2 from like these.
It's like the
racks that are
American
still
militia.
there.
I can kind of see. Yeah.
And it's just weird. Like, just raised an army and then came in here with 10 of them, and it was enough. And so there you go.
Marines are kind of those units. It's gonna sound weird, but similar to carriers, where 1 or 2, aren't really that great. But man, a clump.
Yeah.
Once you start clumping, then they're phenomenal. And Marauders kind of have that inverse effect. I mean, a clump of Marauders is, fine and all good, but when you have 3 or 4, they really feel strong. Stalkers versus Marines, when you have like 2 Stalkers and it's against 8 Marines, you feel great. But yeah, once the Marines get to like 20, 30, then you just have to run, and there's no stopping it.
Yeah, they have what people don't often refer to enough in this game, which is density. For the physical area that you have, they probably have the highest DPS.
Yeah. Archons freaking suck. You get 30 Archons, 2 of those guys are shooting at any given time. It's like the exact opposite, where Marines, you can get a clump and like almost all of them are shooting. And that is so much damage. I think in Balloon's tower defense, they call it a footprint. Because you place your tower, so their footprint very small. You get a lot of them, and then when you have a lot of them, they shoot
Yeah,
shoot
it's
hard.
why they had to, like, if you look back at some of the patches on things like Ultralisk, like the way to improve them was to reduce their radius, reduce that footprint,
Yeah.
because you get a bunch of them in the front line, they can't move, they can't do anything. It defeats the entire purpose
Well,
of
and you get the
having them.
inverse where it's like they're supposed to be good against like Lings and Zealots, but now like they have the most surface area to get hit
Yeah,
at any
exactly.
given time that they're within range. And it's like, yeah, it sometimes sucks to be this big, tanky behemoth of a thing, you know? Sometimes you want to be little skinny guy
Maybe a little guy,
with a bunch of other little guys.
agile. Yeah. So there we go. Match number 3. Xena definitely making a break for it in this season. And now we're up to 2 potentially cheesy. 12 pool bot isn't even really, the 12 pool is kind of cheesy, but it's really, again, just Lings or a Roach timing. And
Yeah.
Zozo going with probably the Proxy Zealots again. But let's see how that's going to work out. So we'll look at the stats here. Zozo is in its 4th season here, or maybe the 5th, I forget. And yeah, it's a Protoss bot. Originally started out as purely a worker rush bot, has transitioned, upgraded into a zealot rush bot, and maybe has a few other modes, but not much. It's working. It's working well.
He's here. You know,
Yeah,
it's made it this far, so
it's the results that matter at
doing
the end of the
something
day.
right.
And 12 pool bot is basically makes Lings in game 1. I don't think we've ever seen it yet win with the 12 pool. It wins with its backup build, which is a like a 7 roach rush. Seems to be what I say, 7 roaches, but then also just then
More
continues
yeah,
to make roaches and Lings after that. So yeah, 12 pool basically that seems to only work in ZVZ. I don't even know if we've seen a ZVZ game with 12 pool bot yet. But yeah, it's not going to face one today. But I think it may have some chance that the 12 pool simply goes so much faster than the attempted Zealot flower that maybe it works.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really big on like vision and what is scouted and what's not. Because I think if the first couple Lings go across the map and then 4 Zealots come in and then the Lings come back or something like that, then I think 12 pool bot's like screwed. I think if the Lings stay over there, then like Zozo's probably screwed. If the Lings see it early but Trace is probe, you know, like there's so much of that little, yeah, how are these few interactions going to go? Because when you have 2 bots cheesing, the little interactions in the early game are what the entire game is, because there's only early game. So all you have are those 5 little funky interactions of like, did they see me? Did they attack me? Were they supposed to attack me?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, this will be an interesting one. Yeah, again, this is probably the shortest one. Only 845 lines of Python code in this, but it does at least have some we saw in the previous week, did a roach rush and then had a command center lift off, will actually make Mutas.
Oh, to finally finish it.
Yeah, to finish it off. So it does have a few backup plans, despite how simple it is. So yeah, so it's a very, not just small, but I would say a very efficiently coded bot if it's only that long.
Nice. Yeah, we love efficiency here. I used to have a book called The Lazy Intellectual, and like the first chapter was just like what lazy was, and it's like, well, we like to call ourselves efficient, you know, using everything that we can in the most precise way to minimize, you know, effort and all fancy words to yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna start here on Golden Aura, move into Hard Lead, and then Equilibrium. If we make it that far. So I think in the first one, we're probably going to see the 12 pool against the Proxy Zealot.
Mhm.
So if you see that probe moving out quick, that's no surprise. And then it's going to be the 12 pool, but I don't think 12 pool bot has any sort of responsiveness in it.
It will be 12 pooling, yeah.
Yeah, so the idea of it seeing or scouting or whatever, I think is right out the door. It's going to attack. So at the 12 pool, we may see actually take over here, but let's jump into our last matchup of the night and find out.
Zozo. ProBots.
That is a aggressive spot to put the flower build.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty in your face. I wonder if that's at all coded for this bot, because one way that you could potentially make a 12 pool bot not bypass you is to do this.
And they'll just attack
Like
the
just put it
gateways
so
for
in
long
his
enough.
face that they may get stuck on this, and maybe that's what you want them to do, knowing that you will get a zealot out before they can take it down. Because he's really kind of walling this off. Like if that pylon was exposed, that's one thing. It's going to be harder to get in there. And let's see what the lings, once they come out, do. And I forget if the lings kind of group up or just go. It looks like it's just go.
And yeah, let's see if they attack move or
so
they move command. I
let's see this
assume
right
attack
away.
move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll immediately start on these. It's going to be a while. And luckily for them, they're attacking the one that is the farthest along. So it's the one that's going to start the zealot first.
Yeah, and
If the
they
zealot was building in the back, that's a whole different story. But I think they're going to get
they're gonna
one.
get this first one for sure. And once the lings that are attacking this gateway move to the second one, no, the second one should be able to come out.
Second one will get one out, but then it's just a lot of lings. So
And one zealot, he's got to pull that zealot back. Oh, zealot doesn't want to fight like that. One zealot for two lings is not the trade you're looking for. And that gateway's for sure done. I think this is looking like a 12 full bot W.
still adding lings onto this. Now he is on the front pylon. This one will get surrounded again. There's no pullback on the lings, but also no real micro on the individual zealot either.
I was hoping
So,
just out of luck
yeah.
that the left gateway would spawn to the left, because then it'd be an automatic. You know, the
Yeah.
lings would pull themselves and it would be perfect. The way it is, though, this is super unfortunate. What I was first hoping for Zozo was I thought they were going to build a third base, and then I thought there was a world that maybe like the
Sure.
lings go across the map, but as soon as they see stuff at their base, they pull back.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the greatest chance Zozo had. I think if the lings go across the map and ignore Zozo, I think Zozo loses. And I think if the lings are on Zozo immediately at the proxy, they also lose. I think they kind of have to hope for this like hidden information and then shown information, then kind of short circuit 12 pull bot and make them waste time going back and forth. But yeah, this first game is looking like a 12 pull bot victory.
Yeah, and I kind of thought this, just the way that this was going to line up, it's the perfect blind
Flower
counter
build
to-
versus 12 pull
Yeah.
seems like 12 pull would be
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah, I could see that. I thought it was gonna be decided fast, but I thought the flower build was gonna do a little bit. I had higher hopes for the flower build, but I think that's the worst position to build it. I think like the worst case is that they find it immediately and attack it immediately.
I think what he could have done, so instead of flowering, what if he had literally walled? With
Yeah,
his-
I think Magnet was actually kind of
Yeah.
showing us that you
Yeah.
could do a wall. I mean, I think you do reduce surface area, but then the zealots weren't microed anyway. But if you were to micro the zealots, you don't have anything to micro them with. You know what I
But
mean? Like,
you just pulled them to the back, though. So let them spawn in the back.
and then whenever they
wall,
break it,
and then when
you
they
just
go,
fight.
and then, yeah, once you get one down, then you've got like 3 or 4 zealots that just go. And the lings also weren't being microed. So it's
yeah,
maybe take your chances with that. But
yeah. I think there are probably better ways to go about it for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe if you can build a pylon against a wall and create some single hex like areas where you can kind of fight lings, I think would be an amazing, strategy. But I think that's also one that you're assuming they're 12 pooling and you have to do some.
Yeah, and which if you're
More
making that
specific.
assumption, then just don't do this and
Yeah, then just stop.
and wall at home, and you're fine.
Not so hard how you could and not if you should.
Yeah, exactly. So under the assumption they're both crazy, this is a better way to be crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see on the other map on hard lead here. Does Zozo adapt at all? or and does 12 pool bot continue with this, or is it going to switch to the roach build? Hopefully, it continues with 12 pool because that's going to win. Let's hop in that and see.
Suzo. Pool bot. Pool bot.
Ugh. I don't even mind
Yeah.
going for the 4-gate against the Ling rush, which it is like a bad play out the gate, but I feel like if they hit it, there's just some silly things that bots do that it could work out okay. I feel like
It feels very intentional too, because in other previous games we've seen
Yeah,
this is hidden.
it's usually
So
at the third or at the fourth, or it's not like
Yeah.
outside of the natural where you put like a bunker contain, like
Yeah, feels like it's quite intentional to do this, and if anything, is he even further behind? Like, I think when the Lings come out, let's see how close the gateway is to finishing at the time. 'Cause
does
I
look
feel like it
worse.
was almost done, right? Like,
But it looks like they may attack this. Oh no, that is the first one building.
two are pretty close, but that is the first one. Yeah, so he naturally attacks the first one that would have been ready. And this isn't even gonna be close. This
They're
time.
grouping up
It
though on the
was-
bottom one, so
Yeah,
maybe after this one goes down, they go to the south
to
one,
this one, yeah,
which
splitting. At
that's
least.
a better.
Splitting at least, but on the pylon. But there's 2 pylons, so that's not.
Yeah, and the second gateway,
Terrible,
like
but
the second
yeah.
gateway went down as soon as the.
Yeah. Okay. Zealot in a
Zealot
much
spotted.
better spot.
I was gonna say the luck was on their side with the zealot. I still think
Yeah, it's still.
it still looks so bad.
Yeah.
If this zealot also runs to the left and can delay, no.
It's gotta. Yeah, you have to get the one out of this. If this can stall enough to get this one out, then maybe. But yeah, I still don't think so. It distracted
it
the
did that.
pylon.
Oh,
Okay,
but the
so
top
you
one
will
doesn't
get
come
this
out.
one out, but it's gone. Yeah. Yeah, I think you needed both of those, and then maybe you've got a chance. But even then, more Lings are still coming and coming and coming, and then again a bad fight.
If you tuck these zealots though,
Yeah.
I think it's actually not that bad. Like there's like some amount of hope. If you actually tucked all the zealots, it's micro. There was even like, a red ling hitting you, while green lings were hitting you, and like the zealots hitting the green. Like
Yeah.
a few different micro things, and I don't know if the Protoss necessarily wins it because again, yeah, like you said,
Still a lot.
this is a pretty rock against scissors build order. This
Yeah.
is like a pretty rough. This is not what you want to do against. If you were planning against a flower rusher, you would make your bot 12 pool. so it's a very rough.
Absolutely. Yeah, like you're getting before your combat building is even done, the other person has 12 supply.
Yeah,
Like
in
it's-
army
yeah,
units.
Yeah. So
All right. Well, the first 2 matches were nice, long-ish. Game 3 really on the edge of our seats. Last 2 matches, not quite. A little bit more of a 2-0. I mean, last set looked a little closer to miss. I don't want to lump them both into this same boat because this set is definitely.
this is just like it's
This
the
bot
hardest
beats
of
the other
hard
bot.
counters.
Yeah.
yeah. There's no
You built
way
a
around
fire
it.
bot, and this is a water bot, unfortunately.
exactly. So I don't know. Go have a chat with Professor Oak and change, change something. Yeah, that was the only good position here, and it's still not enough. Like to
Yeah.
swing the tide. Again, yeah. Even if they all were tucked in and all did well, it's still not enough because there's just more.
The best of
coming
like a
and more
horrible
coming and more coming.
situation. Yeah.
and you're in a diminishing return spot too of like the only thing is like, can I kill off what's here, but I'm losing a gateway and losing a gateway and losing a gateway, like then you've got nothing. So no, there's no way to come back from it.
Spin it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 pool bot will dominate match 4. Draken, how'd you feel about that?
I mean, I feel like I overhyped. Oh, not so much. Like we had great games overall. Like
Yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night.
and
for
you know
sure.
what? I will say something that I think that Zozo, like you had pointed out, I feel it was deliberate. So there is something to that where I feel like Zozo tried something. They're like, okay, I think this will stop it, and they just were wrong.
Yeah,
Right?
it just wasn't right. Yeah,
It just wasn't right. I
there's
think
ways to tweak it to Raider, even just down to the subtlety of building the front two first versus
Behind
the back
it,
two
yeah,
first.
yeah.
If you build the back two first and then you put the front, and those get out, and these
Put a fake pylon in front of it all. See if they'll attack
Yeah,
that for a little bit
exactly.
while you get a zealot out. But yeah, you're
Exactly.
working with a pretty
even
bad spot.
make them chase your probe or something. Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of ways you can buy the extra. I think you needed, at least to put you in contention, you needed like 10 extra seconds somewhere.
You need like more than one zealot
But-
at a time.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
2 or 3 zealots are alive at once, that's such a difference
it's
than one zealot
Yeah,
versus 9 lings, one zealot versus 9 lings.
what you're gonna see, and so they all had updates. Everyone updated this past
Yeah.
weekend, and so part of it may have been like you think to yourself, okay, I'm gonna be against this opponent. I'm not gonna have any opportunities to test it because it's like obviously it's gonna be theory because you're not gonna get you can only go live, right, and put it out. We're gonna do it live, boys, and see what happens. And so I would imagine Sam Morgan was just like, okay, if I can block this, it was like you've pointed out. Normally, when you build a flower, it's gonna be hidden in like a fourth or a fifth or off to the side or something. This is like straight in the middle of the road. So he probably had a theory that maybe he could use and block it off and really kind of close off that surface area or something like that, and it just ended up being wrong. So
Yeah, because he built it in a choke intentionally in both cases, and
Yeah.
it was unavoidable. But I think it was. Yeah, I think you're right. It was an attempt. I think quite deliberate, just a miscalculation.
Which I wonder what it would look like because both those naturals didn't have the like ramp natural. It had like the flat ground where you can kind of build where the ramp goes. I wonder if it was ramped, if they would go like on the low ground or if they would just try to go high. If that would affect
Yeah,
kind of the surface area and where they actually wanted to put it. But yeah, it did not look great.
And you know what? We need to get, to give credit where credit's due. This is like in the round of 8. So like Zozo and 12 ProBot are in the top 8. Like that is in itself is a feat.
yeah, for sure.
Right? That's a feat to be up in the top 8 with the likes of Eris, Tier, Micro Machine, and what have you. So, I mean, kudos to Zozo. Kudos to you for making it up here. I think that is quite the accomplishment to come up here and be in the same, and 12 ProBot still being nasty, right? Just a little nasty.
Yeah, Popobot was the one that took out Eris, right?
Yeah,
Put Eris as second seed.
yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe this is the year of the 12 ProBot. Maybe this is like I'm having hot flashes of Dimitrobot all over again. You don't know Dimitrobot, but he won the first ProBots ever.
It was
with-
basically this.
Yeah, all he did was make zealots.
Yeah.
Nothing else except for the grand finals when he did a worker rush. So
Fire. That's my kind of Protoss.
he did
I can get behind that.
he did zealots all the way he did nothing else but zealot rush. That's it. Zealots all the way to the grand finals and then switched to probe rush. It was
And people were adapting to like try and build like
They were
five spine crawlers.
Oh
and
my
it didn't
God.
work.
That
People
is
tried
wild.
so hard. It was just like a Linkin Park song because in the end it did not matter, and he won. And that was I remember at that moment when I saw it, I was like, I don't know what we're building here. Like,
Yeah, Zozo's others matches also did not look bad. Like
yeah.
Zozo's all of their other sets have looked very good. It was just against the 12 pool, against this many lings, it doesn't look as good. But the flower build it's
And
a
I
good
mean-
build. Don't throw it out.
No, yeah, I think there's a time and place for the flower build. I think the flower build is very powerful, and I think 12 pool bot really highlights. I think a very large weakness for maybe a lot of bots is the early game is can be rough for a lot of bots. Even Eris suffered to to
Yeah.
the
And
There's
early-
pushes
certain
and
things
stuff,
that just have to, they have a correct response, and you can't wiggle out of that. You have to do the correct response,
Yeah.
or you die.
And the thing is too,
Yeah.
in StarCraft, you can't over answer and you can't under respond, right? So
Which is why
It-
those 3 roaches were so cool. The idea of like
yeah,
over respond, overreact, like trying to bait your opponent to like
yeah.
go into
You freak
defend
out.
mode or go into
Yeah.
a certain mode that a lot of the times you do have to go into anti flower build mode, because if you don't, a flower build will beat you.
and definitely like I cannot say for myself on the same level as the other bot makers, but as I'm making a bot, I find the idea of the 2 things I'm having the most hard time is balancing is the logic of certain responses and also not getting into an arms race of trying to code a response to every
Yeah.
form
Yeah.
of possible cheese out there, because you only have so much time. And so balancing certain response you've been hit with once versus then trying to make sure that response doesn't get over, like you don't know all the conditions that could trigger your response to make you do one thing or another.
Yeah.
I find to be really like challenging. I find it to be really challenging to keep those things, to balance those priorities. So
Sure.
absolutely. So why don't we take a look at the brackets and see where these bots' priorities lie? Booyakasha. Here we go. So we saw today Tier versus Eris. Tier taking it 2-1. Benbot versus Sharkbot. Benbot taking it 2-1. Xena taking it 2-0. Micro Machine.
Wait.
Wait, hold on.
Eris won game 1.
Oh, wait. Oh, yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I was like,
Production.
I swear this is wrong
Yeah.
because
Production, you have to
Yeah.
switch that up. Oh, right there. We're doing it
Easy.
live. And then,
Yeah.
oh,
There you go.
Easy peasy.
done.
look at that magic, everybody. Magic right there. Okay, so Eris took it against Tier 2-1. Benbot against Sharkbot 2-1. Xena over Micro Machine 2-0. And I want to point out Micro Machine was not updated this round. So, anybody who they probably already know that too. They're probably aware that like Micro Machine wasn't going to get an update, so it was probably a walkover in that regard. Zozo versus 12 Pool Bot 2-0. And that leaves us in the semifinals with Eris versus Benbot and Xena versus 12 Pool Bot.
The macro bracket and then the
Yeah.
like mini game, early game
crazy bracket.
bracket in the bot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, one of them is playing like Texas Hold'em poker. The second one's playing like Jacks and Deuces or Wild.
Yes.
like 5-card draw. or
The
something.
top half bracket's
Yeah.
gonna take like 80% of the next night, and the bottom is gonna take 20% of the night.
And keeping in mind that it's best of 5s, we're switching to best of 5s. So
Which I think is going to be really cool for the second one, because 12 Pool Bot will switch its builds and Xena is random.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
so
gonna
we're
be
going to
crazy.
get all these iterations that are going to be weird.
I think your card analogy was apt, because you get some wild, like you're just gonna be like,
Yeah, it's gonna be. We make up the rules as we go.
yeah,
Eris, Benbot, BC are gonna have like 45-minute games every game, and that's gonna be a doozy.
Yeah, like they're
And
gonna
it's
be
in its own right.
they're gonna be like gentlemen's pistols at dawn, right?
Yeah,
They're
no rush. 15-minute. We'll like.
yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
reconvene. We'll fight at some point, but not right now. Let's
Like,
let's have a good time.
Like, Benbot, would you like to macro today? Why, yes, Eris. Oh. So
I've
I
already
imagine-
expanded.
jolly good. And that's how I imagine the bots talk to each other.
Yes.
In that very style. But yeah, that was her night, and whew, I have to say that was a doozy. And so hopefully you guys out there, how were the votes? 85% people thought it was going to be 12 Pool Bot, and so that means yeah, 14% of you were wrong. And but I think we actually have open predictions on the challenge. I will quickly skim to see if you can actually put in your predictions in the challenge. Yeah, you can create a prediction bracket. So I think it'll be open for the next few hours before let me actually drop a link right now if you want to drop your predictions.
And also subscribe.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, don't worry.
Drop a like.
No, they're not escaping that part. Hold on. I just given them the link. So if you want to create your own prediction bracket, we will talk about it next week about what you guys predict. I guess maybe the first bracket part will be. We probably should have locked it earlier, but I guess you get the first
could have
round.
done it at the 8, but yeah.
Yeah, forgot about it. I forgot about it. So you can go to.
If you get those wrong, try harder.
Yeah, if you get those wrong, that is a problem. But if not, you can at least get the other rounds, and then there's also who wins. So we'll see if you can predict who wins the entire tournament. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like. Those stuff are absolutely free, and they help out the channel. Like truly help the channel out, because those algorithms can be brutal. Those are the true bot. The true ProBot is the algorithm of the YouTube. So absolutely. And the reason why you want to subscribe, because I'm gonna be releasing another episode of Bits of Code soon. So like Endersword said, it's the show where I essentially code a bot to win, and I hope you'll check it out. And then every Monday I do pair programming, bot programming, live here on the channel at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. For sure, come in. It's a good opportunity to kind of see the nuts and bolts of the bot. I've definitely come a long way from when I first started, so it's a lot less crashing and a lot less. Well, it still crashes, but
only a little burning. Yeah,
a little burning. Like it's only a little bit. And absolutely. And check the description for your own template. And if you want to go even further, !join or ProBotsAI.com and become a member. And this stuff all runs off of your support, to be honest, brutally honest, because there is no big tech out here sponsoring ProBots. It's all member support. So it's all on you. Viewers like you, like PBS says.
viewers like you.
Exactly.
Get you a tote bag. they do that.
A thief, a common thief. I don't know if you guys know that episode of Simpsons.
Help me, Jeebus.
All right, awesome. For that, thank you so much for Ban Yoshi for being here. Unfortunately, I don't think we won't get him next week, but we always enjoy having him casting. It's always a pleasure to have your beautiful voice join us.
I'll try to get some humans versus AI in too. So
yes,
play some of my matches. I'll try to kick some booty. I'll do what I can for the humans.
Right. Yeah, you protect the humans. All right, awesome. And then keep an eye on the community posts here on YouTube, when I will let you know when it's able for you to download. It should be probably probably this weekend. You'll be able to download it and play against the bots and submit your replay, the first replay of the game. We can tell if you don't submit the first replay. So please submit the proper replay.
Sometimes the bots will tell on you.
Yeah,
this is the win rate of your.
Yeah, those bots have no qualm snitching on you.
They aren't your friends.
They are not your friends. They'll report. They're on your hard drive and everything, and they're like. So I wouldn't screw around with those bots. Anyways, either ways, we'll see you guys next week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, here on YouTube, ProBotsAI.com. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Woo!